Hello my Frugal family and welcome to today's video. Please let me know if you prefer the voiceover while I'm doing these things or if you would rather just have music and watch the video. I'm not sure which one you would like, so just go ahead and let me know down below and I'll take that into consideration when I make the next video kind of like this. So the first night's dinner is going to be my first attempt at chicken fried steak. I had all that cube steak in my freezer that my brother had given me and my old boss. And after doing some internet research, I found what looked like a pretty good recipe on allrecipes.com. I'll link that down below for you. I did read the comments and reviews of the recipe, so I knew to salt and pepper and put some garlic powder on the meat itself before I started dredging it in the flour and buttermilk mixture. While that's kind of sitting and my oil's getting hot on the stove, Dave and I went to work at peeling and chopping up some potatoes for the Instant Pot for mashed potatoes. I mean, chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, the gravy, it just all goes together, you know? So I'm mixing up the buttermilk mixture. There were a lot of ingredients in this, and I can't remember all of them at this moment, so just go ahead and look at the recipe below if you want to see exactly what all was included, but definitely salt, pepper. There was like baking powder and baking soda, the buttermilk, and something else. I don't remember all of it. Some hot sauce, I remember that. Okay, we are getting started on the frying. Now this, like I may have said before, was my very first time making chicken fried steak, and I was pretty nervous that it was not going to work out well, or if it was going to work, I don't know. You know, your first time trying something, and I'm filming my first attempt, so I was a little nervous that things were not going to go very well. So something I learned when I did this is my cube steak was actually really big pieces, so when I do this again, I'll definitely cut those in half. Oh, and my oil was a touch hot in that one pan over there. I should have done a temperature check just to make sure, and maybe a deeper sided pot just so there were less splatters. I was really happy I went with the 2 pans to make quick work out of it. And then as you see here, I'm putting together like a warming rack that I stuck in the oven. I think the oven was at 200 degrees just to keep things warm as I was rotating through the batch, because I had, I believe, 8 very, very large cube steaks to cook for everybody. So I don't think it was a bad move cooking all 8, but yeah, definitely I would cut them in half again. I was so happy with the crust in this recipe. It was thick, the meat was cooked perfectly. I was very nervous that the meat would be like raw or tough, or I'm not really sure. So once I was done with that, I went to work at making the gravy. I kept some of the oil in the pan, added some of the dredging flour that I had to make a nice roux. I did cook it for several minutes to try and get that flour taste out of the gravy, because you don't want it to taste like just raw flour, because that's not very good. I added, I believe, 4 cups of milk total to this, a little bit at a time, just to make sure it wasn't lumpy, and definitely taste for salt and pepper. I ended up adding quite a bit of salt and pepper because the flavor just wasn't quite there before I had done that. So I would say if you're scared about, you know, making a roux or a gravy, if you've never done it before, just give it a whirl. It's not too difficult. And just the key to all of this is make sure you taste food as you go. That's my #1 tip for cooking in the kitchen. You don't want to serve it before you've tasted it, because you don't know if it's going to be good or not if you don't try it first.
I want to stop this scheduled program. Listen to this friend of mine. You can follow him on Instagram if you want.
I always feel like I'm nobody, who wants to fit in anyway. I don't care when I'm with my baby, yeah. All of my things disappear. Yeah, you're making me feel like maybe I am somebody. I can deal with bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah.
Christian, you're probably not watching this video, but if you are, little shout out, go follow him on Instagram. Beautiful voice. Are you still single? I don't know.
On to the mashed potatoes. Now, of course, I believe I've done videos on my mashed potatoes, but add all kinds of delicious things: butter, sour cream, milk, salt, pepper, and taste it. Here is the finished product. Man, my kids raved and raved about this. Haley would not stop eating the leftovers. She wanted me to make this over and over again because it was so popular with her.
Tonight for dinner, in an effort to clear out the freezer, I have these 2 containers of cooked kidney beans. Originally done it with the intent to do chili, but instead we're gonna do a meatless version called kidney bean casserole, which I found in the Joy of Cooking cookbook many, many years ago. Here's the recipe. Let me see if I can scooch back so you can screenshot it if you want to. I had taken notes. It's pretty good. It's basically like chili. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this together right now and stick it in the oven, cook up some rice in the Instant Pot. Started on dinner tonight, I wanted to show you the garden harvest. I've got 1 spaghetti squash. These are all cucumbers. I let them go a little long. So there were a bunch in there and a bunch of big ones. Like, man, what's the biggest one? This one. There, for frame of reference. He's so fat. And I grabbed a couple of green beans. Not too many out there. It's been kind of hot. I should probably water them a little more. And I picked about half of my beets. This is the first time I've ever grown beets. I wanted to try and pickle them. I'm gonna rinse them off with a hose, cut the tops off, and see if I can find a pickling recipe for pickled beets, because I really, really like pickled beets on salads and stuff, so. Yay, garden! Dinner tonight is going to be Korean barbecue, but we're going to do a shortcut by doing a ground beef Korean barbecue bowls. It's way, way faster, like 20 minutes. I found this recipe on damndelicious.com. I'll leave a link to the recipe I'm using down in the description box. I have both of my Instant Pots going. Technically only that one's the Instant Pot brand. This one in front is a casserole. This one's got cabbage in it. This one I'm doing sticky rice in.
We like never have sticky rice.
I found a huge bag of it and I was like, hey, we should cook this. Cut up a cantaloupe. I don't know how many people will eat this, and whatever we don't eat is gonna go into lunches for the week. Haley is prepping strawberries, ditto. They can have it on the side, or these will be in lunches. In the oven, I should probably check on them. Oh yes, yeah. I made cinnamon burst bread. I do have a recipe video on this. I will leave the video down below and also up here if you want to go check this recipe out. It is so good. Whoa!
Oh my gosh.
Did you see that?
Calm down there.
Yeah.
Look at these nails. Oh, they won't focus. You guys get the idea. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, those look so good.
Do you smell them? Oh, they smell amazing. Okay, like 4 more minutes and then we're good. I have about 2.5 pounds of ground beef. I'm just gonna throw it in there and start browning it up. And then once it's done browning, I'll dump in the sauce, which I'll make after this gets going. Oh, Ryan, that is so cool.
I made my own macaroni Cheerios.
So this ground beef, this little one came from my mom, and this big one came from my brother.
Is that good?
Chow.
While we there.
Dude, that guy is frozen.
What rice?
Cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe.
Sure. Once the ground beef is done cooking, I'm gonna add this mixture, which is brown sugar, soy sauce, sesame oil, ground ginger, garlic, crushed red pepper flakes. Pop it with some sesame seeds and pour it on the rice and you're done. I have the rice on bottom, the cabbage, and then the beef on top. It's got the sauce in there. So these are Haley and Ryan's. I have some Korean barbecue sauce I made last time I did Korean barbecue, and then I'll make my bowl, and then we'll just let everything stay warm until the older 3 boys come back and eat. Tonight for dinner, I'm gonna make a couple of chicken pot pies, probably 2, so I threw some chicken breasts in my Instant Pot, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cook those up so I can shred them. And out of the freezer, I have this huge bag of like shredded carrots that have been in there for I don't know how long. I have some frozen, I believe this is turkey broth. For my garden, I have all these green beans, so I'm gonna put all of these into my chicken pot pie filling. I'm gonna go ahead and get that started right now. And then later in the day, I can just make the crust and pour the filling in the crust and